Haney Prograis. You're gonna you take us through it, but I just want to probably start it because I did a lot of tweeting. I know it's out there in the air. Matter of fact, quite frankly, if you just watch my tweets, you wouldn't have to watch the fight.
You also hit the nail right on the head with the prediction show. I mean, you said exactly, pretty much verbatim what was going to happen, and that is what happened, unfortunately, for my friend Regis.
And listen, I forget what the line was, that Haney was minus 600, whatever it was. But I laid it out where you didn't have to lay that money. If you didn't want to lay, or you didn't have that kind of money to lay, you could play a parlay. And, I said it, and the parlay would have made sense. Again, if you have the money to play around, and otherwise you shouldn't do anything. You should just watch the fight and enjoy the fight. But if you had the money to play around and win a couple of dollars, you could have played the parlay of the over and Haney, and then you wouldn't have had to lay an inhibitive amount of money to win something. I think it was even money. If you would have played the parlay, you got to win too. But I felt that it was a pretty good proposition and a simple proposition. I thought it would probably go the distance, and I definitely felt Haney would win, and you got even money if you took that proposition. So at the end of the day, nobody really thought it would be another Crawford-Spence like mismatch, because that's what it was without it being stopped. It was two guys that really didn't belong in the ring together at the end of the day. And not knocking anybody. I mean, Prograis, whether you want to believe Prograis got old, whether you want to believe that his best fight was with Josh Taylor a couple of years ago, which I thought it was. I thought that was his best performance. And then Josh Taylor dropped down a little bit as far as the estimation of what he is when he got beat by Teofimo Lopez. But either way, he didn't belong in the ring. Obviously, you don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you that. I had said that I thought Crawford would dominate Spence. I thought there was a good chance that Haney would dominate Prograis.
One quick thing before you provide the breakdown, I just want to say that, as we've discussed on the show before, as a result of the show, I've become very friendly with Regis. He's a really nice kid. I had a hard time watching this fight.
Yeah, well, he's been on his show.
Watch Regis. Yeah,
he's been on his show, and he asked me one time to give him to talk to him and to give him a fight plan for the fight that he won his second title. And this is a guy who's won 2 titles. So, he's had a terrific career. Whether he goes on, he doesn't go on, whatever. I'm not saying he can't go on, but he's had a terrific career. And I remember talking to him I forget who it was, but in his last title fight, when he won the title, I had basically given him a fight plan. We talked about it. And not that he needed it, but he went out there and he stopped. What was the guy that he won his second title with? Terrific game Mexican fighter. He stopped him late in the fight. I think he stopped him around 11th round.
Zarilla. Yeah. Zarilla or Zepeda? I think Zepeda. Jose Zepeda.
Yeah, it was Zepeda, right? Was it Zepeda?
Yeah, that's where he won the vacant WBC.
Yeah, it was his.
It was Zepeda.
Yeah, it was the fight. It was 2 fights ago, because his last fight he had a bad performance, and that could have been a warning, an omen of what was coming here. But I was putting his last fight, his performance, which was poor, really up to the style of guy he fought. He fought a very difficult style fighter in his last fight that controlled range really well, that didn't take any chances. That Pacha was very long, a guy that was running all over the place. So very hard to look good against that guy. And but very hard to look good against Haney too. Haney, a couple ways you could describe the performance of Haney. You could say it was surgeon-like, it was mechanic-like, it was machine-like. I think you'd be on the button with all of those. He was so solid, so technical, fought such a disciplined fight. And going in, the fight plans for both guys were pretty simple. Haney needed to control range, use his jab, set up traps, set up counters, make you pay for real estate. You try to get 3 feet close. He charges you 3-4 punches. The way I like to put it, he was going to be the navigator of the ring, so to speak. Ring generalship was going to have to be controlled by Haney. Geometry was going to be a key. The geometry, or the turf war, if you will, was going to be for Haney to control the outside and for Prograis to get inside. If he couldn't get inside, he couldn't win. And the one thing that I would say that he didn't help himself with Prograis, when he did get inside those few times, he allowed himself to be tied up. He had to do some damage because he wasn't going to do it on the outside. But all credit to Haney, he had full control in all regions of the fight. And again, if you're going to get inside, it wasn't enough just to get close for the fight plan of Prograis. You had to get close clean without taking on a lot of incoming damage on the way in. He couldn't do that. And part of what I pointed out in our last episode and in the fight plan, I hope people watched it, was that I thought there was a flaw in Prograis where he moves his head well, but he does it from too far away, and where he could get pot-shotted, especially by a guy who's a sharpshooter. And Haney, make no mistakes about it, he's a sharpshooter. And he sharpshooted him. He target practiced him. He pot-shotted him. Where the head movement a little too far away, where he could time him, he timed him. See, the head movement is supposed to be, if I get a chance to teach, I teach. The head movement is supposed to be close enough where when you make the guy miss, you're close enough to hit him. So you got to get close enough. No risk, no reward. You got to take the chance, kind of like a baseball player at bat, where you got to wait for that ball at the last second to move. Bang! Then you swing. A little too soon, the curveball, you miss it. The sinker, you miss it. A little too late, the fastball gets past you. Just has to be right timing. And that means discipline. That means control. That means being calm in an uncalm area. And that's what it was all about with a Prograis, where you have, and he's done it well many times, but on this particular night with a sharpshooter, a guy who could take advantage of that flaw, when you make your move from too far away, he knows you're not close enough to hit him. So he's safe. So he pot shots you before he lets you get close enough to be able to make a miss and hit him. And that's exactly what transpired, where Prograis showed his head movement too soon. He never got a chance to get close. He got timed. He got sniped all night long on the way in. And to the credit of Haney, he kept that margin. He kept that distance just right. When he had to take little steps back, he moved his feet back. When he had to move his feet to the sides, brilliant with his hands, brilliant with his feet. Moving to the side, making a miss, navigating around the ring. If you needed a definition of ring generalship, just watch Haney. He gave it to you. He did and he went to the body enough also to keep Prograis something to slow him down for the later rounds. It was amazing that Prograis survived. Part of the reason he survived, his heart. Part of the reason he survived, Haney's not the seek and destroy kind of guy. And to his benefit, in this case, where if he stepped it up, I'm sure a lot of you great fans were thinking this. If he stepped it up a little bit, he would stop Prograis. But that's not his temperament. And if he stepped it up a little bit, maybe he puts at risk something he don't have to put at risk. I thought his father, who's his trainer, and him figured there was no need to step it up in that kind of way. Because if you did, you're giving Prograis maybe a chance to then catch you as maybe you're engaging a little too much or getting a little too close during your engagement. So he played it just the way it was to be played, to win the fight. And could he have gotten a stoppage again? Maybe, probably, possibly. But that would have taken him away a little bit from what he is. He's a disciplined boxer. He is. And he showed that discipline, which also breeds consistency. Discipline breeds consistency. And he showed that all night long. That's it.
If you had been in Prograis' corner, and I'm not trying to be critical of his trainers, but I didn't feel like there was any like concrete instruction. Do this, step over here, do this. It was just like very broad strokes of like step to your right. What would you have told Prograis after like 2-3 rounds? What did you see that he could have done differently, if anything? Or do you think he just, whatever he tried, Haney was just too much?
I would have wanted him to use the jab more, to press behind the jab instead of just head movements. Press behind, and the jab not from the middle, from the sides, like Tyson was taught to do. You slip to the head, boom. Slip to the side, boom, you jab. Slip to the side, boom, you jab. This way, if his jab's coming, you make it miss and you counter with yours. That would have been number one. Number two, and most important for me, that was missing, the feints, the art of feinting, where he's in there with a counterpuncher. He's in there with a guy who relies on timing. He's in there with a guy who controls range and distance. So screw him up in that way. Screw up that timing. Screw up that judging of distance by giving him a little feint so he makes the move a little too soon. He steps out, controlling the range a little too soon. Then you can go and get him. Then you're not falling into holes. Then you're not falling into traps. Make him show his hand. Make him show, like playing cards. Make the guy show his hand. And then you know what to do. And that would have been the main thing. A little fade, throw his rhythm off. Throw his timing off a little bit. Fade him, make him move too soon. Make him a little jittery. And then come with what you have to come with behind the jab. And the one other thing I would have done would have used the feints to freeze him and then get angles. Because he was in front of him too much. Yeah, he was too predictable. Where he's coming at him the same way. Feint, freeze Haney a little bit, and then slide to the right, slide to the left, and come from an angle. Listen, at the end of the day, Haney had all the answers. Credit to him and his father. Well prepared fight plan and mind plan. His mind was focused. He was laser-like focused in that area. All credit to him.
It seemed like every time Regis tried to throw a left hand, he was reaching, and also he would immediately square up and be standing right in front for a counter. It just didn't look comfortable at all, none of them. And it was interesting the way Haney was countering because, like I say, he couldn't seem to get off with a left hand at all. Did you notice that every time he threw the left, he was then square standing directly in front of him, kind of with no head movement after the left, or no jabbing to get in and out?
Yeah, listen, you're talking about the most important part of a fighter, probably. If you own a house, what's the most important part of the house? Foundation. If your foundation ain't good, the upstairs ain't going to be good, And so you're talking about footwork. You obviously... that has to be in concrete, so to speak, way ahead of time. And those things have to be formed in the gym. Those habits have to be formed in the gym, not the night of a fight where you don't get squared up. You're touching on something that you're not wrong, but the correction of those things have to be done way before the fight, obviously. And listen, besides everything else I said, Haney was too good.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's that simple too, but I think that I laid it out the best way I can.